Really good. What's really good? Welcome back to another Wednesday night with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend of Two Games. Make sure you guys are following me across all social media platforms. You see the hashtag and the handle spelled out. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. We're live every Wednesday night. Gonna ramp up the schedule right now. If you follow me on social media, you're gonna see the new schedule start to come out. So we're gonna be live Sunday late nights, Monday 7 p.m. with Real Fans Real Talk, Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. and then Wednesdays at 7:30. So we're going 4 straight days as we get into the NFL season. A lot of content, a lot of things to get into. All right. Um, Tonight, the comment section, shout out to the comment section, is buzzing. But like I said, make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you're also subscribed to Real Fans Real Talk. We'll be back live Monday, 7 p.m. And if you missed last week's episode, it's in the archive. Head over there, check it out. Now, we got a lot to talk about tonight. NFL, we're a week closer. NBA, another move went down today. There's some things going on behind the scenes we got to talk about as well. Let's start with one of the first comments of the night. See what we got here. Let's get this one out the way, man. Shout out to Squeeze. Did y'all see the disturbing video of former Duke player Kyle Singler? I did see that, Squeeze. Shout out to Squeeze. That was very sad, man. You could tell that that young man is still struggling with some things. I didn't know that he was down that bad, but seeing that video, hearing him kind of ramble, hearing the paranoia in his voice, it was very sad to see, man. And I hope he gets the help that he needs. Um, Obviously he's down bad at this point. I wish him nothing but the best, man. That was sad to see that video, man. And it's crazy because sometimes we forget about some of these guys who played in the league and maybe they've been out of the public eye for a few years, and you forget that these are human beings who might be dealing with addiction or depression or mental illness or just everyday life struggles. And it looks like this young man is down bad. He's down on his luck really bad right now, man. So thoughts and prayers go out to him, man. I hope he gets the help that he needs. I hope he got the right people in his corner to help him as well, man. But yeah, I saw that, Squeeze. I shared that earlier with Trip and with Will, and I just it was sad, man. Kyrie, the Big Ten and the SEC announced rule to ban NFL player returns to college football. It's crazy that they've got to actually implement this rule because you would think it goes without saying. And I don't know when I've got to really go back and see, was it with the NIL money? What allowed guys to then be able to return? Because for decades, the rule always was once you entered the draft, you gave up your amateurism. Once you played professionally, you gave up your amateurism. And yet we're seeing it in the NFL and in the NBA. Now, Major League Baseball was always a little different in that way because Major League Baseball allowed you to enter the draft. But then if you didn't like where you were drafted, you could say, I'm not going to sign. I'm going to stay in school and then re-enter the draft in another year or two. That I completely understand because you didn't sign a contract. You didn't play for anybody. You kind of just tested the waters to see where you would get drafted. And once you saw that, you decided to go back to school. Plenty of guys have done that in Major League Baseball. But this college football, college basketball thing makes no sense to me. We see that tight end that was with the Browns that now is going back to LSU. We're seeing guys who are petitioning and bringing on litigation to get a fifth and sixth year of college. It's completely out of control at this point. And the landscape of college football and college basketball, I think, is in a terrible, terrible place. They're allowing this nonsense to really take place, man. I just don't understand when this became a thing, man. I don't understand when this was just became suitable to say, all right, I'm just going back. All right. But yeah, I don't like it. I like that Big Ten and SEC are doing this. I just don't like how the players have been manipulating it, finding the loopholes and all that. So that part I don't like. We're gonna combine these two questions, but we'll go one by one on them. Squeeze says Watson gets a starting job over Sanders. Thoughts? Talked about it a little bit on Monday, but let's get back into it again. I question the leadership of that coaching staff. All right. if you are Mike Munchkin and you're heading into Cleveland and you're trying to change things and you're trying to show this team and this organization that you're serious about building a contender, how could you realistically name Deshaun Watson your starter? You still had one more preseason game. He hasn't played well in either of his first two preseason games. There was reports that came out 2 years ago about his lack of leadership and lack of accountability in the locker room, and yet somehow you decide to name him the starter. Now, I'm not saying that it had to go to Shador. I've said from jump, I think Shador just deserves a fair shot. As long as you're giving him a fair shot, that's all you can ask for. To me, this doesn't seem like a fair shot. If I'm naming Deshaun the quarterback with one preseason game left and Deshaun has not played well, I know there are people who are saying this is a business decision. I know a lot of people are saying that because Deshaun is owed so much money and the Browns really haven't gotten the return on investment when they first traded for him, that they're trying to see if they can squeeze out a little bit of success with Deshaun there. I don't agree with that. Again, because you're talking about a first time head coach, and you should be wanting to set the tone in that locker room. You should be wanting to set the example of that locker room that, hey, we're going to play the best guy that gives us a chance to win. If Deshaun had outright won the job, then there are no complaints about that. But I don't feel he did. I don't feel he performed well throughout this preseason, at least through those first two games. So to me, for Mike Munchkin, this really is a bad example, and this kind of speaks to his lack of leadership. It could all work out. Maybe Deshaun is better than we think. Maybe it makes it easier to go to Shador after 2 or 3 weeks if Deshaun continues to struggle. But I just don't like the set by Mike Munchkin and his coaching staff at this point. You don't go to Deshaun Watson at this point. You make him earn it. And I think you have to be okay with saying, hey, if he's a $40 million quarterback, that's our backup, then so be it. But we can't cave just because of what the price tag is. We can't just hand over the keys to the most important position within our organization just because you're the highest paid guy at that position. If you haven't earned it, I just feel like you set a bad precedent. So I don't like it, more so, not for Deshaun, more so because I feel like the coaching staff set a bad example. We just saw Deshaun Watson get up in front of the media and go off about the fans and talk about his relationship with Cleveland fans. And then the moment he gets the starting job, he tries to backpedal off those comments and apologize to the fans. I understand your frustration. No, you don't. Because if you understood their frustration, you would have started with that during your rant. You would have started with, I get where you guys are coming from. This has not worked out the way I wanted it to either. But he didn't do that. He went on the defensive and pretty much called out the fan base, who has, in my opinion, has every right to be mad. We gave up a lot for you. We gave up a lot of money, a lot of picks, and we're expected to sit back and watch you just treat it the way you have. And like I said, there were reports 2 years ago about his lack of accountability and leadership in that locker room before the injury. So this is just a frustration from the fan base who has seen this terrible movie play out. I don't think Deshaun was deserving of the starting job. I thought at the very least they should have gone into that last preseason game before making a decision. But now you hand over the keys to him. If Shador balls out in this third preseason game, it looks great. It's going to raise even more flags and question marks. So yeah, I don't like it. Now, since we're speaking about Cleveland and we're speaking about Deshaun Watson, it's only right we segue right into 49ers owner Jed York, arrested on Sunday for soliciting prostitution, actually in Cleveland. We had a great laugh about this on Monday. My brother Trip Young is going to be joining the live in a minute. Jed York decided to find some extracurricular fun. The report goes that he was paying $140. He was arrested in a trailer park. Now, the statements now are starting to come out and say that the person he was supposed to meet with wasn't in that trailer park. He just happened to pull over there because it was close to the actual meetup location. I don't know. That just sounds like they're trying to clean things up. In this day and age of GPS, you wouldn't have pulled over before getting to the location. You would have pulled over as you know, all right, I'm in the area. Now let me just see exactly what the address is. It was late night. It was dark. Who knows what the numbers on the trailers look like? Maybe it was tough for him to identify which trailer it was that he was supposed to be going to. But I'm not buying that story. The only thing I will say, we had a great laugh about this. Trip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready, bro. We had a great laugh about this on Monday. Shout out to my brother Trip Young. Trip, we had a great laugh about this on Monday. We referenced Robert Kraft, my man Bobby, Rub and Tug Bobby. But the one thing we didn't talk about enough is Deshaun Watson should be upset as well, because Deshaun should feel like you were in my backyard and you didn't let me know that $140 was right over here.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy in itself. I didn't get that part of it.
Right. We
Um,
didn't, like I said, we didn't even go that extensive on it, but there's already talks that the NFL is working on whatever the punishment will be for this.
mhm.
There will be some sort of punishment coming down for Jed York. This is gonna, I think this is gonna be one of the storylines we got to pay attention to with the 49ers this year. There's been a lot of talk in the offseason about, is their window closed? Are they still a championship contender? When your owner is out here looking for a little bit of cutty for $140, is not a good sign for where the organization is headed.
That's probably why they can't stay healthy on the field because the leadership it starts at the top, and if that's what he out here doing, I
Wow,
don't.
that what a choice of words. The leadership is starting at the top. Paul. Yeah, but you're right. But you're right. But you're right. Yes, yes. There's a terrible look for Jed York. Not for the 40. I don't want to say for the 49ers as a whole, because if you're a player on the team, I'm sure you're having a laugh about this. Like, I'm sure Brock Purdy and Christian
Plus,
McCaffrey sitting there laughing, like, I know this
come on
idiot
now.
didn't just get caught out there.
He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, of course.
Yeah. I, I still can't believe, I'm waiting for more details to come out. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe that's just my perverted mind. I can't believe that a multimillionaire would be spending $140 in the middle of nowhere, Ohio.
But I mean, my thing is the 49ers are in the Bay, right? You passed mad states. You mean to tell me you couldn't drop 140 anywhere along the way that you didn't have to go all the way to Ohio? That was weird.
It's super weird. I mean, like I said, I don't know if if maybe he has some business dealings out there, and maybe that's what it ended up. But even still,
No,
you're
he.
telling me with the amount of money and the access that you have, you
That's
find
what I'm
yourself in
saying.
a trailer park in East Palestine, Ohio. You wasn't in Cincinnati. You wasn't in Dayton. You weren't in Cleveland.
Some incredibly sexy woman in the San Francisco Bay Area knows who he is. There ain't no way you telling me that brother with that much money got to go all the way to Ohio to a trailer park to get some vagina. That don't even make sense to me right there. I
No,
can't.
I agree. That's why I said maybe
It's
he was
too
in
it's too
Ohio
many
for some
groupies
other
out here
business dealing,
to go
and then
buy it
said,
in
"Hey,
Ohio. It's crazy.
yeah." I mean, he could have just jumped on a private jet, like you said, and got right back to wherever got back to the Bay Area. I said it on Monday. You you passed over Vegas. You could have went to Vegas. You could
If
have
you was
went
gonna pay for it, you should have just went to Vegas
right. You could
because
have
you're,
went to
you're too
Vegas.
much of
You
a,
could
of
have
a high
went.
profile person to get caught up in some BS. So if you was gonna
Yep.
pay for it, you might as well just went to Vegas and just got it
Yep.
over with, and then nobody couldn't say nothing to you.
Yep. Like I said, could have
But
went to Vegas. Could have went to
yeah.
Miami. Could have went into Texas. There was
Or you
plenty
could
of
have just
places
went
you could have
into
went.
went to any nightclub, lounge, bar, anything in San Francisco, and let them know that the owner of the San Francisco 49ers is here. And I'm pretty sure a young lady or two would have found their way to you, sir. You
Oh
didn't have
yeah,
to do that.
the ladies of the night would have found you. You didn't
Yeah, they
have to
come to
drive around the
you. You
trailer
didn't
park.
even with that kind of money, they're gonna go right to you. Okay,
You didn't have to
buy a
drive
round
around the
of
trailer.
shots for the bar, and everything's okay. That's all it would have took. By the third shot, come on, man, you got had your pick of the litter.
All right, let's get to this football question here. Shout out to George. Is Jordan? I'm assuming he means Jordan Love, the next great Packers quarterback. Trip, what you think?
Potential, yes. Can he stay on the field? That's to be determined. And that's really I can't say that until he's actually healthy consistently. Um, you know, Aaron Rodgers when he finally got his shot, he was healthy. Aaron Rodgers didn't start getting hurt until later on in his career after he was a couple MVPs in. Brett Favre, for the most part, Brett Favre that was Iron Man. I mean, what else can you say? That's when your name is literally Iron Man. You know what I mean? So I can't even put that stamp on or even think about that until we get a couple of consecutive healthy seasons where we see some legitimate numbers. You know what I mean? Like let me see you throw for 4,500 yards 3 straight years. Give me 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I'll even take that. But I gotta see you actually healthy and on the field.
I want to say he is, but I think it is kind of like put up a shut up time for him. He'll be 28 this season. This was right around the time Brett Favre had already won an MVP and won a Super Bowl. This is around the time Aaron Rodgers had won an MVP and got to a Super and won a Super Bowl. And so Jordan Love hasn't come close to any of those things. He's had, a couple of good playoff performances, specifically that game against Dallas a couple years ago, but he hasn't had a playoff run or a regular season for that matter that we would say, hey, he is amongst the great quarterbacks right now in the game. I mean, I think even in his own division, and I know somebody asked a question, I'll tie that one into this as well about the NFC North. You look at the NFC North, I don't even know if we think Jordan Love's the best quarterback in his own division. When you got Caleb Williams and you got Jared Goff in that division, you can make a strong case that he might not be the best quarterback in the division. So if you're going to be the next great Packers quarterback, I think you got to put yourself amongst the elite. You got to play like an elite quarterback, and I just don't think he's done that yet, Trip.
Yeah, as I said, and he hasn't been on the field long enough to really even showcase that.
Yeah, and then I mean, let's get to it because Squeeze had put it up there. Which teams is the one to beat in the NFC North? I say I got the Lions winning the division. It's my prediction. I've talked about it already. I think the Lions bounce back. It's an elite offense. It's a healthy defense. I know the Bears won that division last year, but if you look at the 2 seasons prior to that, Detroit won that division. Detroit, to me, has the best talent in the division. So I think it's Detroit. What do you think, Trip?
I think Detroit, if completely healthy, won the division again last season. I think they're healthy this year. I think they get right back to it, and that's not to say that the Bears won't be good and be in contention. I just think that the Lions won the division, but the Bears can certainly still make the playoffs.
Yeah. Like I said, I think Detroit is going to win the division. Um, I already got a 3-team division winner bet that I put out there. It's plus 1,300. Lions, Ravens, Cowboys. Those 3 to win the division is a plus 1,300. I like it a lot. I think that's going to play out in that manner. Shout out to John Carlos. Will Mahomes and the Chiefs have a major bounce back season? Trip, I know we kind of talked about them, but as we get closer, do you still feel we're going to see?
I have no reason not to believe that. Until we get out on the field and we see a bad season from Patrick Mahomes, then no, I have no reason to believe this won't be a bounce back season for them. Mahomes, if he's healthy, you may even get comeback player of the year. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, this is definitely gonna be a bounce back season for them. They, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. The vast improvement in their running game. We're talking about this might be leaps and hurdles from what it was with just the addition of Kenneth Walker. The receivers have been getting better as the seasons go, and I believe they'll still continue to get better with Rice and Worthy. So I like what they have, and as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, you can see yourself in the Super Bowl every year.
I think they have a bounce back season. The defense is still good. The coaching staff is still great. Mahomes is, I mean, if he's not the best quarterback, he's in that conversation as the best quarterback in the league. I think they're going to be fine and they're going to get back. Do I expect them to be dominant? No, especially not early on. But I do think as the season goes on, you're going to start to see them kind of look like their old selves. As you mentioned, with the emergence of Kenneth Walker, with that offensive line getting better, once they kind of really gain a rhythm, they're going to be just fine. It's tough to bet against Mahomes for me, though. That's why I think it's really going to be a major bounce back season. The NFL is driven by quarterbacks. And when you have an elite quarterback, you're going to be a pretty good team. It's very rare that you see a team with an elite quarterback
that isn't consistently one of the best teams in the league. It's super rare.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got any other football ones before we get to some. I know we got a lot of basketball joints we got to get to. This one right here from Kyrie. How dangerous would an Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett duo be? I'm gonna pair this one with I'm gonna pair this with what George had mentioned as well. Injury is the only thing that can stop the Rams.
Yeah, that could possibly be, and I'm talking about if we only get 80% of where Aaron Donald was before he left, that could possibly be the best defensive line we have ever seen, because Aaron Donald is an all-time great defensive player. I mean, we talking about a guy that's probably gonna finish, you know what I'm saying, in the rankings, you know, he's top 10, no debate, maybe even be top 5 all time with his resume and what he was able to accomplish in the league. But then when you put him with Myles Garrett, who is arguably the best defensive player in football right now, those two guys together, oh my goodness, they are going to give offensive lineman fits. They're going to give running back fits, and they damn sure going to give quarterback fits on a lot of Sundays, on a lot of Mondays, Saturdays, Fridays, Thursdays, whatever days we get, they're going to be causing a lot of havoc. And I think, you know, if those guys can stay healthy, I would look for them to go on a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I think the deep playoff run, we expect that. We expect them to be a Super Bowl contender. Now, I will say some of the reports I've heard is that when Aaron Donald makes it official, because he's been working out with the team, but there hasn't been an official statement that says he's back. Early on, he might be on a snap count of only like 25 to 30 plays. Like there'll be special packages for him. He won't be on the field consistently. It might be a lot of third down situations or short yardage situations, and they'll work him in. Because keep in mind, he hasn't played a full game in 3 years. So, you know, he's not just going to get back out there. There's a guy who's already into his mid-30s, hasn't played in 3 years. You're not just going to throw him out there and say, hey, go play 65, 70 plays. They'll kind of ease him in. I think once he is
by week 12, by week 12 is going to look crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Once he is back to speed, once it is like, all right, I'm feeling good now. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling good. I'm comfortable with the whole playbook. Right. Then that's when things get scary. And I think that's what the Rams are hoping for. That's why the Rams are in no rush to make this announcement. You're not going to win the Super Bowl just because you make the announcement now. You're going to win the Super Bowl if Aaron Donald is himself come playoff time. Because if you get him back to himself with Myles Garrett and that secondary, that revamped secondary, now you are the special team that we expect you to be. George, I'll say this. Obviously, injuries are like the main thing that can stop them. But the one area that does concern me a little bit with this team is their offensive line. It's not a great offensive line. And when you got an older quarterback like Matthew Stafford, remember he dealt with some back issues last year. Mm-hmm. That could be something that could derail you. It's not just the injuries. It could be the wear and tear. He might get beat up behind this offensive line. I don't think he will. Again, I think there's a lot of weapons on this team. They got a good running game. They got the 2 good receivers. Matthew Stafford is a reigning MVP. Yeah. But when you're at that age, you're 38 years old, you don't really want to get hit. You don't want to take too many sacks. And so maybe the O-line might be the one thing that really stops this team from being great. Because I think every other area of this team is great. It's a great D-line. It's a great secondary. It's a great receiver core. It's great running backs. Obviously, the MVP at quarterback. But the O-line is the weakness. So that's the area they got to fix up. Shout out to King Mac. He posted this in regards to the Deshaun Watson comments I was making. He said, I think Jimmy Haslam had a hand in this. Absolutely. You got to keep in mind, as I talked about, $40 million for Deshaun Watson. He wants to see some sort of return on investment. And he doesn't care if it's only Deshaun playing 2 or 3 games. He wants to see what he has from Deshaun Watson before they move on from him. King Mac said also, Watson going to probably get the Russell Wilson treatment. Well, I think that's different. Russ was in a very difficult spot in Denver. If you remember, he signed there. They fired that head coach after 1 year, and then Sean Payton came in. So even though Russ did struggle, he ended up getting a whole new coaching staff that wanted nothing to do with him. This situation is a little different because I do believe that Mike Munchkin, they had to have real conversations about, can you work with Deshaun? What would you do with Deshaun? And the fact that he's named him starter right now with a preseason game still left. He could have easily dragged this out for one more preseason game and then said, all right, Jimmy, you want him, but I'm going to make him wait. I'm not just going to anoint him. He's anointed him already. So it sounds like Mike Munchkin is all in on Deshaun Watson. I'm not too sold on that idea. And as I said earlier, I think it speaks to a little bit of a lack of leadership from that coaching staff. But that's on them. Squeeze said, shout out to the ladies. Congrats, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese on winning Player of the Week. Phenomenal. We talked about Angel Reese having a phenomenal week and a half with her performances, not only being named Player of the Week. Trip, you sent me the clip. She's the fastest, right? Oh no, actually, she just broke the single season rebounding record that was held by Asia Wilson. And so
single game. So
yeah. So she's been phenomenal. She's been phenomenal. Let's see what else we got. Let's get to this Draymond comment because I saw this floating around, and who posted it first? Because I heard about the Draymond comment, and then I see somebody else mention about the Warriors. Let me find that Draymond comment that people put up here. Right here. Shout out to John Carlos. Did anyone see what Draymond Green said today? He said something to the effect of the Heat acting like they're getting 2017 Klay Thompson. I don't know the full story. Draymond, shut the fuck up. And then what was the other comment about the Heat? Let's combine those two. Shout out to Kyrie. This is not a popular opinion, but I think the Miami Heat will make noise this year. If Giannis healthy, they shouldn't be scared of no one. Well, Kyrie, we talk about this all the time. These are pro athletes. They're not scared of nobody anyway. Like they never take the court with fear, like, oh, I don't want to face this person. They're going to compete no matter what. I don't know how much noise the Miami Heat going to make, to be honest, because it's not a deep roster and they don't have a lot of shooting. Trip, do you see it any differently, though? Do you think that there's something in the Miami Heat that maybe we're overlooking?
I mean, I think what it is that Bam Adebayo is a really good player. I mean, can you put him lower than top 3 at the center position right now?
Yeah.
Jokic.
Yeah, he's not a top 3 center.
Who's better?
I mean, Joker's probably the best center. Joker.
Yeah.
What are we considering Wemby?
Okay, well, yeah, I guess Wemby.
What are we considering Karl Anthony Towns?
I mean, I still consider him power forward, but if you want to put him at
center position for the Knicks.
Yeah, I guess, but most of his career he was playing the power forward. He just started playing center when he got.
Well, no, because before they got Rudy Gobert, he played the 5. He shifted over to 4 when they got Rudy, but prior to Rudy, he was the 5.
Okay, so all right, where would you put Bam Adebayo?
I think those are the 3 best, and then Bam is part of that next group. It's going to be Bam. I think Şengün. Like I think Bam is a better player than Şengün because I think he's a better 2-way player. He's more athletic, but Şengün is really good too. Zubac is really good. I think Bam is better than Zubac though. So I mean, Bam is a good player. That's not a knock on Bam.
In any event, they're gonna. So my point is, Bam is good enough. He's an all-star. He's an Olympian. Now you team him up with Giannis, and I think Giannis is one of those guys where he's no matter where he's at, his team is automatically going to be in title contention, right? They give him that kind of respect because he's a multiple-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion, Finals MVP, all of that. So those two guys together, and they still got a couple other pieces out there. Wiggins is an NBA champion. You know what I mean? So they brought in a good veteran signing with Klay Thompson, who I believe he will be a good asset for them, definitely in the locker room. Obviously, again, we're not getting the same Game 6 Klay, but I think he definitely will be a good addition to that roster. They've got the, maybe arguably, the best coach in basketball still in Miami, or at least one of the top coaches in basketball. So that's a great organization. So yeah, I can understand why people would still have them, in title contention, have them making noise. You still have a top 3 player on your roster.
I just think that it's not enough. The way the roster is constructed is not enough. It's not enough.
Maybe not to win a championship, but they can make noise.
But that's not their expectation, though. When you make a move for Giannis, when you go, like you said, you go get the big fish, you go get one of the biggest guys out there, you are doing it to get closer to winning the championship. And I don't feel that Miami is that much closer now than they were before. Does it look better on paper? Yes. And I'm gonna put this comment up from Kyrie right here, right? Where he goes, isn't Bam at power forward? No, he plays the 5 for them. He plays the 5. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's probably more of a 4, but he plays the 5. And it's not that I don't like their shooting. I don't like the pieces, how they're gonna really fit together, because last 6 minutes of the game, you're gonna have Bam, you're gonna have Giannis on the floor. All right. Mm-hmm. I see you mentioned Kyrie. I see you mentioned Bobby Portis. You're not gonna play Bobby Portis with those 2 guys on the floor.
No,
you're not gonna. So now you're looking at some sort of combination of Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, Klay Thompson, or Tim Hardaway Jr. 2 of those 4 got to be on the floor. All right. Whether you're trying to go more defense, maybe you keep Wiggins out there, and then you use that to kind of hide Hardaway or Klay, maybe Davion out there. Whatever your combination is, the point being, you still don't have a point guard. You still don't have anybody who can initiate offense for you. Because unless you're going to say, Giannis, take the ball at the top, and then we're just going to try to figure it out from there, it's still not enough spacing. Bam is not respected enough as a 3-point shooter. Wiggins is not respected enough as a 3-point shooter. So you don't have the spacing. I think during the regular season, it works. It will make sense. I think during the regular season, they will have moments. I think in a right playoff matchup, yeah, they could win up. I'm not saying they're going to be a first-round exit. But when I look at the other teams in the East, they're not beating Philadelphia. They're not beating New York. I don't think they're beating Cleveland in a playoff series.
No, but I mean, the comment wasn't about them winning the championship. It's just if they're going to make noise or not.
Yeah, but so are we saying a second round team is making noise?
Yeah, really. They are, because we're really talking about regular season, right? Because
to me, I look at it when you say making noise, I'm saying like you're a threat to make a run. We know only one team could win the finals, right? We know that.
Yeah.
But I don't consider like, because you have second round potential that now you're making noise. Because if that's the case, I mean, then is Atlanta making noise? Because Atlanta has second round potential.
No, because they're not as good as this team. I think Giannis, it's really the Giannis factor. Like he makes whatever that, but that's what I'm saying. But that's the respect that guys at his level get, where people are gonna say, yeah, all right, Giannis is there. They may got a chance. They may be able to do some things. Now, are they going to go into this thing as the favorites? No. But when you got those type of all generational talents, those type of players, people tend to give them a little bit more respect in that regard.
I think Giannis is great. I just don't think the roster is that great. Now, they're going to need a little bit more time to build it out. And I've said that from jump. It wasn't going to be a 1-year fix. I just, like I said, if you're saying, can they make noise? I don't think so, because I think there's easily 3 teams in the East that are better than them, that if they played them in a series, they couldn't beat them. So to me, it's like they could win. They could definitely win a first round matchup. If they get the right matchup in the first round, yeah, they could win a first round matchup. They'll beat Atlanta. They'll beat Orlando. They'll probably beat Detroit because they got more firepower than Detroit. But once you get into that second round, I don't like a matchup against Philly. I don't like a matchup against New York. I don't like a matchup against Cleveland.
Well, I might take them in a matchup versus Cleveland.
Shout out to the group chat's favorite player. Chris Lou said Jonathan Kuminga is going to the Timberwolves. Does he help them? And on the other show, why do y'all say Kuminga is everyone's favorite? So, Chris, You might have missed those episodes, but there was a point where every week we were getting a question about Jonathan Kuminga. Every week it was treated as if he wasn't reaching his full potential only because of Steve Kerr. Only. It was never blamed on Kuminga. It was never anything that he wasn't doing. It was always Steve Kerr's not doing anything. As you can see, he went to Atlanta. He had some moments, but he has sat around on free agency up until the end of August and end up going to the Timberwolves. Now, can he help? Maybe. It'll be interesting to see how they use him, though, because they're going to probably use him. They have a major lack of interior size on that team. They're probably going to try to use him as a stretch four, similar to what Atlanta did, to really rely on his athleticism and get some cross matchups.
But he can't shoot.
I know, but when you look at their roster, I'm just saying, when you look at their roster, you have LaMelo and Ant-Man in the backcourt. DiVincenzo is going to come off that bench, right? You still got Jaden McDaniels. You got Rudy Gobert. Kuminga's never going to play the two. He's never was going to play the one. He's damn sure ain't playing the two. No. The three, he's probably not going to play because of Jaden McDaniels. Like I said, when they want to go with a smaller lineup and go with DiVincenzo. Also, Ayo Dosunmu's there. So you got another guy who's going to probably play the two or the three. Kuminga his spot is going to be the four on this team.
I'm just confused by that, but I don't get that decision. But who knows? I think he'll be he proves us wrong.
If he does, he does. I view this as Minnesota is when everybody's focusing on size, because we saw what Wemby did to OKC, and we saw what did OKC do in the draft? They drafted 7'3" guy from Michigan, right? Yep. They went to get bigger. Minnesota's trying to say, listen, we're gonna put all these athletes and all these shooters on the floor, and we're gonna hope that we can just beat you that way. I don't know how this is gonna work in a matchup against the Spurs when you're going to really try to play Kuminga at the four. Like you said, he's not a reliable enough shooter. He's not really a threat outside of 12 to 15 feet on the court. I don't see how that's going to work because I don't know how you're going to play him and Rudy together.
But that's what I'm saying. If he's the four, because what is he going to do out there? Clog up the paint?
But he's not going to play the three. The three is going to be some combination, depending on lineups every night, of McDaniels, Ayo Dosunmu, DiVincenzo. Those three guys are gonna, after Ant-Man and LaMelo, those three guys are gonna be battling for who's gonna play next to them.
Yeah,
and then Rudy's your five. So where else could Kuminga slide in?
Yeah, I guess. Let me. I know. I meant to send it to you earlier, Eric. This is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but an article popped up on Yahoo earlier today, talking about Philly possibly trading Embiid to Washington for Anthony Davis. I meant to text to you, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to. But I just wanted to.
Listen. I dropped that content back in June. I'm waiting for it to happen. So when it happens, we'll have to go. But we'll see. George, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to the people still mad at you about your Kobe memory trip. So we gotta comment.
What y'all want me to do? Y'all want me to just make up stuff? Like, come on.
Shout out to John Carlos. Why do y'all think today's NBA lacks rivalries? Was Warriors and Cavs won despite Warriors beating them 3-1 in the finals? Trip, why do you think the league doesn't have the rivalries that it once had?
Because everybody's cool. Because think about it, right? Well, one, AAU has gotten so big that everybody done seen each other, played against each other at some point or another. If you're a top player, for the most part, by the time you get to high school, you damn near know everybody. So y'all all chilling, cool. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all on the road together. You at different tournaments together. You at the Nike camps together. You at the All-American game together. So everybody's cool by, at that point. Prior to, what I'm saying, the 2000s and 90s, guys wasn't traveling across the country like they doing right now. You was in your region. That's it. And the nicest people from each region. Now, you might have heard about the guys from the other regions, but 9 out of 10 times, Magic Johnson was not going to be in no type of stratosphere with Isaiah Thomas, who's well, maybe not Isaiah because they're a little closer in the same region, but somebody from New York is not going to be bumping into somebody from Cali. Somebody from Washington is not going to be bumping into somebody from Atlanta. It just wasn't happening back then. But now everybody is together. All of these teams are traveling, and then on top of that, which is maybe even the biggest factor, is the internet, social media. They didn't have those things back then, whereas now, if you're a top player in the country and I'm a top player in the country, I could just DM you and be like, "Hey, what's up, bro? You want to go over here? I'm going over here. What you trying to do? Let's rock." I bet. Yeah, what's up, homie? Yeah, remember we was in the All American game together. Yeah, we trying. Everybody know each other. How you gonna get rivalries like that?
Nah, that's really what it comes down to. It's the state of the league right now. This is all AAU circuit now. I don't like it. I love the NBA, but I don't like what it's become. The constant player movement, player empowerment movement, all this has really ruined it. And for a lot of the same reasons Trip mentioned, but also because it doesn't allow for rivalries to develop. When you look back, and I'll just speak on our era. If you look back into the 80s and 90s, those rivalries were built on teams who kept seeing each other in the playoffs over and over, right? Mm-hmm. When Reggie Miller and the Knicks were going at it, think about all the years they kept bumping heads. Reggie wasn't coming to the Knicks. Patrick Ewing wasn't going to the Pacers. It was like, you're going to have to see me. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Mike and the Bulls and the Knicks.
And then later on for a lot longer.
Yeah. So it built up over time because if you kept playing those guys and you were 2 or the 3 best teams in the league, you had to see those guys. Even though the Knicks didn't win during that era, you look back, look how many times the Knicks had to run into Boston or Detroit in the playoffs, and then Chicago eventually. You kept bumping into guys that were standing in your way. Now, Kevin Durant loses to the Warriors. He joins the Warriors the next year. You know what I'm saying?
Brooklyn,
Kevin Durant. Right. Kevin Durant loses, and I'm just using Durant as an example. It's not his fault, but he loses to Milwaukee, and then the very next year he's demanding a trade out of Brooklyn to go to Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no time for any rivalry to develop. So you're looking at a situation. Everybody's cool. Everybody wants to buddy up. Everybody wants to get to a new location. Again, it's AAU. That program you got over there is dope. I want to go over there now. I want to see what y'all doing over there. And nobody is kind of letting things play out. And also, I mean, now with the salary cap rules in the NBA, there's going to be a lot more parity. Let's just call it what it is. Because you see the move of Boston trading Jaylen Brown is really rooted in they don't want to be a second apron team. They don't want to consistently be a taxpayer because that affects the way that you draft and the way that you can trade. So that interrupts it as well. Are the Knicks and Philly a rivalry? I don't know. I mean, they played in the playoffs 2 of the last 4 years, but I wouldn't call it a rivalry.
Consider that really a rivalry.
That's what I'm saying. Like
even rivalry, you get some heated scuffles on the court.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But like, even if you look at it now, there aren't many matchups where you can say, oh, these teams have played each other a couple of times. Like since Donovan Mitchell has gotten to Cleveland and Jalen Brunson has gotten to New York, they've matched up in the playoffs twice. Brunson and the Knicks have gotten the best of them, right? Is it a rivalry? I don't know. On the flip side, the Pacers have gotten the best of Jalen Brunson twice. Is that a rivalry? Maybe, but maybe we need more matchups before we can really say it's a true rivalry. Because like you said, it's not heated. It ain't, they're not getting separated.
Well, one side got to win too for it to be a rivalry.
No, I agree.
But even if one side winning all the matchups, I can't really.
But hold on, but no, I wouldn't necessarily say one side has to win. I think when you add the chippiness in, and then when you add that, it keeps happening. Like Sacramento and the Lakers for a short period of time were rivals. They were the best 2 teams in the West. They kept bumping heads in the playoffs, and then they had the famous Doug Christie, Rick Fox fight on the court. You know what I'm saying? Like Shaq called them Sacramento Queens. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. When both teams are good and now you're bumping into each other, it's going to naturally create that friction because I got to get past that team.
Yeah,
there isn't any of that right now because guys will jump ship the moment that things get crazy.
Yeah, so in that time there were I mean, maybe the majority of the league, you know, if you were in the league for 10 or more years, you was on the team, that same team for 10 or more years. You know, yes, there were trades, but think about it, right? All of the bigger stars, for the most part, they were on teams for years. Larry Bird, McHale, all them Celtics guys, Robert Parrish, Magic. You know, these guys retired Lakers. Worthy, they were, you know, MJ with the Bulls. MJ did how many years with the Bulls? 13, so something like whatever with the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? So these guys were with their teams. Isaiah with the Pistons, Blaine Beer, and all those guys. They were with their teams for a longer period of time. So now, it's a little bit more difficult because we're gonna get cool at some point. If I keep bouncing around the team, I'm cool with everybody.
That's a fact. Shout out, you mentioned Worthy, so I'm gonna bring this one up from Christopher Little. He said, I got OG here watching with us. Shout out to the OG who's tuned in with us. He said James Worthy played with Jordan his freshman year only. He said one of y'all said Worthy was on the team when they played Lenny. I didn't mention Worthy. I gotta go back. I don't know if that was Will or Tripp that mentioned it.
I said Worthy, we were mentioning teammates. I was just running down the list of teammates. However, if we want to compare the rosters of when they did play, I did pull up the receipts. So I would tell you, I'm just saying, look at the roster right now, right? This is MJ's teammates when they played each other. Sam Perkins, NBA, Brad Daugherty, NBA, Kenny Smith, NBA, right? And then you got Matt Doherty, Steve Hale, and Joe Wolf. Then you got on Len Bias' side, Ben Coleman, Keith Atkins, Herman Veal, Adrian Branch.
Well, but hold on. You ain't got to defend it that way because that wasn't the topic of it. The topic was when we were talking about the whole if someone didn't get injured or like the woulda, coulda, shouldas or the potential of somebody. And that's when I said there are plenty of people who feel Len Bias would have not only been the greatest rival to Mike, but possibly better than Mike, but obviously tragedy struck that night. So it wasn't about who they played with in college. You know what I'm saying? That to me, that had nothing to do with it because
that came up because we were saying the North Carolina won, but Len Bias had a better game than MJ. Yeah. That's what that was about. So we were saying that MJ also, you know, to be fair, played for blue chip North Carolina, who generally has NBA talent coming in and out every year.
That's a fact. Shout out to Kyrie. He said T-Mac recently.
That's 4 guys right there.
Right, that all went to the league. That all went to the league. Yep. Tracy McGrady recently said the MVP of the regular season has more weight than a championship. Agree? I don't. And here's why. We can't move the goalposts when it fits our argument. We always say basketball is a team game. We always say the goal is to be a champion. So to say that MVP holds more weight, no. If we're ranking who was the better player and you want to say, well, this guy was MVP and this guy wasn't, all right, that's a different conversation. But if Tracy McGrady's mindset was that MVP holds more weight than winning a championship, right? An individual accolade, then why didn't T-Mac go play golf or tennis? Why play a team sport? Go play an individual sport where you could be the best individual. I just don't agree with saying the MVP holds more weight. It's great for you personally, but you didn't play basketball to do it on your own. You did it to achieve the ultimate success of being a winner in that sport.
Yeah, you know, he was kind of going in the direction of, well, Rick Fox has a ring. Was he, you know, could he ever be an MVP? He was kind of going at it from that angle. But yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I think the MVP becomes more important if we're comparing all-time greats. Maybe, because then if we're trying to rank a top 5 or whatever, even though I, you know, so over that, but if we're trying to rank it, then, you know, you're gonna rank certain guys higher than other guys that have multiple MVPs. So, you know, I guess maybe from that standpoint, But yeah, I mean, listen, you're playing to win championships. I think that's what everyone wants first is the championship, and then the individual accolades.
Yeah, I don't. To me, I just don't. I feel like it's moving the goalposts, and I don't like the conversation. Just be real about it. Say, man, it's great to win an MVP. I take great pride in winning an MVP because I'm sure everybody who's won an MVP takes great pride in the fact that they had such a great season that they were voted as the best player for that season. Yeah. But T-Mac is also the same person that sat there. If MVPs are more important than rings, he sat there and said, "Oh, if you would have put me in spot of Kobe, I would have won them championships in LA too." So obviously, it struck a chord with you that you didn't get the opportunity to play for a championship or win a championship. Also, let's be real. You can win an MVP, and to Tripp's point, there could still be a bunch of players that were greater than you and better than you. Karl Malone got more regular season MVPs than Charles Barkley. He's not better than Charles Barkley. He's not better than Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? But for those years, same thing with Steve Nash. And this is no disrespect to those guys. Let's not pretend like just because you won the MVP, that automatically solidified your place amongst the all-time greats. To Tripp's point, Steve Nash won MVPs that probably should not have gone to him. Still a very, very good ball player, excellent career. Nobody in their right mind would take Steve Nash over Kobe Bryant. Right? So having those two MVPs is cool. Right. So I remember when Kevin Durant said that too, and my first response was, it's crazy that Kevin Durant would say that because Kevin Durant already had an MVP. So why did he go to Golden State?
Yeah, if that was the case.
If the goal was I've got the MVP and that's the greatest honor I could have, then what did I go to Golden State for? I already was an MVP of the league. I was already a scoring champ. I had already proven that individually I could do everything that all the greats could do in this game. He went to Golden State for a chance to win. And then when he left Golden State, what he did, he went to a place to try to win on his own. Mm-hmm. So I love T-Mac. I think T-Mac's an all-time great. And I love to hear the legends talk about the game, but we got to stop moving the goalposts when it's convenient. T-Mac never made it out the first round of playoffs. So it's easy to say, oh, the MVP would have meant more. But I bet you ask somebody who's had some deep playoff runs, they'll tell you, I'll give up the MVP for another ring.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody asks, God rest his soul, we're going to get to him in a minute. If somebody had asked Kobe, you can give up one of your rings, but you'll win another MVP. Kobe probably, I'm pretty sure he would say, I'll keep the ring.
Yeah, of course. But I bet you, if somebody went to him and said, we'll trade you, you could give you MVP and you get that 6th ring, I bet you he would say yes to that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Speaking of rings, shout out to Poole. She says, should Robert Horry be in the Naismith Hall of Fame? I know he got 7 rings, but his body of work Hall of Fame worthy. I say no. Poole, you say no. I say no. Tripp says no. Everybody says no. He ain't not. Come on. No.
Well, see,
just no.
Now we're going to have to go back to the argument. So now the rings is more important.
No,
if he goes in, definitely. If he goes in the hall, the rings is definitely more important.
But hold on, he's not going in the hall. His best statistical season, he averaged 12 points. He's never was an all-star, never an all-NBA, never a 6-man. His accomplishment is that he was a great role player on championship teams
and a clutch shooter
and clutch shooting. But if he were to get in, hold on, all right, but hold on. If he were to get in, then wouldn't that open the door for somebody who, like Steve Kerr, who has 5 rings and hit some big shots in the playoffs too?
Yeah, it's true.
Because then at that point
Steve Kerr probably at that point for his coaching, but
no, well, yeah, for Steve is going to be different because the coaching is going to add into it. And winning the gold medal as a head coach for Team USA as well. But if we're going to put Big Shot Bob in because he was a great role player, I mean, then when does it stop, bro?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not putting him in, so there's no Hall of Fame for Robert Horry. I'm sorry, I you got to salute to him because the 7 championships ain't no joke, and he did contribute to those championships.
Major contributor.
But a Hall of Fame, no.
Major contributor. He earned every one of those rings. Mm-hmm. But let's also be realistic. there's no way you can go into the Hall of Fame when you at no point in your career were you ever an All NBA guy. You were never an All-Star. Like, come on. At least if you told me, yo, he was a 4-time All-Star, then we can have at least a conversation. He was never an All-Star.
Has he ever even been the second best player on this team? On any team he was on?
No.
I don't even know if he was the third best player on some of them teams.
On those early Rockets teams, you could maybe make the case he was the third best player.
Then they have Vernon Maxwell, Kenny Smith.
It was when they beat the Knicks. When they beat the Knicks, it was Hakeem. Sam Cassell might have been the second best player on that team.
Sam Cassell.
Like I said, you could make Robert already started on that team, so you could make the case that he might have been the third best player. But after that, come on, man. Like, what do we? There is no case to be made.
Yeah, that's.
Like, if we got to seriously say it, there is no case. Will said, shout out to Will Gordon. Hold on, I'm gonna put your first comment up. What it do, baby? Big Dog's holding it down. See you next week. Yeah, Will is traveling. So he already, he back next week. That's why I don't want y'all to think I'm skipping the questions y'all have for Will. I'm not going to present them because Will's not here to answer them. So that was it. If international coaches can be in the hall, he can. The resume is different though, Will. Like,
yeah, if international, they'd have to have had some type of success.
Yeah, we're talking Olympic success. Yeah, like that. That's a different conversation. Let me see something here. Let's go back. Trip, I'm gonna give you a chance. George got a question here. Kobe turns 48. It happened a couple of days ago. What's some of your great memories on the court and not Chris Childs punching him? Well, I'm a rehash the stuff I said on Monday. Some of my favorite Kobe memories. That series against Phoenix when he hits the jumper as time expires. I believe they went up 3-1 in the series at that time. Kobe game 7 against Boston. Kobe, there's so many of them. Kobe coming into the Garden after LeBron had set the record in the Garden, and Kobe scored and set that record. Kobe on the Redeem team. There's on and on. I loved Kobe. Wasn't my favorite player, but I loved watching Kobe because you always knew he was going to compete as much as possible. And I don't want to compare these two guys. They're not the same player, but in terms of like intensity and competition, it was similar to watching like Russell Westbrook, where you knew every night he was going to bring it. He was going to give you his best effort, and that's what you saw from Kobe. I can't hear you, Trip.
I found one, okay? When Kobe walked back up to the foul line and shot them free throws, y'all happy?
There you go.
Dang.
There you go.
Y'all ain't gonna let me rest.
Let's see what else we got. Chris got a football question up here. Make or break year for Bryce. I'm assuming you mean Bryce Young of the Panthers. It is a make or break year for him. The career so far has been up and down. Last year probably was his best start to finish season. Let's not forget, though, there's been times that he's been benched. There's been times he's had some very ugly stat lines. I do feel it is a make or break year for them. They've got a good young defense. They've drafted well recently. He's got to prove that he can be the guy for this franchise.
Yeah, but my only thing is, I feel like make or break year is more for somebody that if we're talking about him going into his 4th year that had 3 straight bad years, he's actually been improving every year. And last year he had a really good season, leading those guys to the playoffs. Now he does need to, do something similar to what he did last year again this year and keep that consistency up. But he's on an uptick. His trajectory, he's been getting better in every year. So, and I think he'll continue to build on that.
You got to consider though, Trip, they traded to get that pick. He was the number 1 overall pick. You're expected to be the franchise quarterback. You want to see some results.
Yeah, but let's not forget they traded everything away with that pick to get that pick too.
Yeah, but
he came. You don't remember. He came into nothing though. They the cupboard was literally empty. They traded everything. They traded the number 1 receiver he would have had in DJ Moore, and this is when DJ Moore was one of the upper echelon receivers in the league when he was still out there cooking. Okay, they traded a couple other pieces away to get that pick. So by the time he got there, there was literally nothing there, and now they've been starting to add on little by little. And as they've been adding on, he's starting to look better.
I still think it is a make or break year for him. You have to show at this point. When you are in the same draft class as CJ. Say that again?
He didn't show last season?
He started his first playoff game and they lost.
Okay, but he took his team to the playoffs.
Okay, and he's going to always be compared to CJ Stroud, who's been in the playoffs 3 straight years. He's going to always be compared to Caleb Williams, who that pick ended up, they could have kept the pick and just went for Caleb the following year. Mm-hmm. Instead, Caleb ends up with the Bears. He's going to always be compared there. And now, another reason I think we have to include it as a make or break year, the division as a whole is weak. If you can't win, and be competitive, it's not like he's going up against the Rams and the Seahawks. He's going up against the Buccaneers, the Falcons, and the Saints. If he can't be good enough to win that division, then you got to ask the serious question, is he the guy of the future for us here in Carolina? Because the defense is good enough. The defense is ready to make something happen now.
Yeah. I mean, I could say this is a make or break year for all 3 of those guys. Didn't know because
Caleb, no, because this is only year 3 for Caleb. For CJ Stroud, I agree. CJ Stroud is the same thing
because he's actually been going down.
I agree.
So, but
this for CJ Stroud is a make or break year because similar situation. That Texans defense is elite. CJ has not played well since his rookie year. And if you're the Texans, you are stuck in a tough spot of looking at this young quarterback who, if he can't perform, then you got to wonder, is he holding back what could be a great team? Because that defense showed last year, that defense won a game. I mean, that team won a game purely on their defense in the playoffs last year. Yeah. So they're ready. Poole. She wants to know who our 3 WNBA MVP leaders are right now, Trip. I think it's Olivia, I think it's Asia, and I think it's Kelsey Mitchell.
I mean, that's my 3. So like,
yeah. I think, and I believe it's in that order. I know somebody had mentioned the bad game that Olivia recently had, but we can't judge off. I mean, we're not going to ignore all the great performances because of one bad game. Yeah, Squeeze has right here.
A couple more, then that's different. That might change things a little bit.
Yes, Squeeze said he was getting at Will. He said your girl had 8 points on 25% shooting in the loss the other day. Every game counts.
Come on.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know,
she went up against the champs and put in work twice. Like we can't do that.
Shout out to George and Kyrie. I see y'all looked it up when we was talking drug kingpins. George said I looked up Frank Matthews and y'all was right.
That's what y'all took away from.
They still
all the sports stuff we talked about. Y'all went to go look up the drug kingpins.
Nah, George said y'all was right. They still haven't found him. He would be 82. So how did he vanish? He must have crossed the border. And I think I'm gonna give y'all the story how it happened too. Where's the other one here? Kyrie said
he's still running up the block.
And Eric, he said, Eric, I did my homework on the drug kingpin too. So check it. Frank Matthews had no record. He got caught up in actually another big time drug dealer's sting operation. That's how Frank Matthews came across the Fed's radar. The story goes at that time, this is early 70s, he was supplying at least 13 states in the United States. He was actually putting together what would have been the black version of the commission. And like the Five Families, the way the Italians had done it. And he used to actually hold quarterly meetings in Harlem. And that's how he got caught on the Fed's radar, because the Feds were actually watching someone else. And then Frank's name came across their radar and they had no clue about who Frank was. Again, he had no criminal history. He had never come across their radar, never been arrested, never even had a speeding ticket. So then they started watching him. They bring him in on the conspiracy to distribute because he's caught up in this other investigation. Frank's lawyer was smart enough to understand that because his client had no prior history, that he should not be categorized as a flight risk and should be granted bond,
yep.
Which he was. And then Frank was given a court date that he never showed up for. By the time they go to his house, the house had already been cleaned out. The rumor is he escaped. He left his wife and kids behind because I think he sent them to go live with his mother-in-law, and he skipped town with his girlfriend to never be seen again. And again, we are 50 years later, and he has never come up on the Fed's radar. They have yet to be able to track him. There's been some rumors that he was down in Cuba for a long time. If you remember, for some of you that might be young and don't realize, when we had a lot of conflict with Cuba, Cuba would not extradite anyone back to the United States that was on the run. That's why Cuba was always a hot spot for Black Panthers to go hide out in Cuba, because Fidel was never going to send you back. He would basically flip the bird at the United States before he would send you back to them. So that was one place, but there were some other places down there. But there was rumors that Frank was down in Cuba for quite some time, and then maybe had went on to do something else. Let's see. John Carlos said, "What I missed about Kobe is he left it all on the court, no bullets left. Remember, he carried Bron KD on a Redeem Team 2012, and the support of WNBA made him who to support." Yeah, I talked about that on Monday too. I thought his support of the WNBA was fire, because that was becoming like the next phase for Kobe. Remember, he was coaching Gigi's team and promoting women's basketball and youth basketball, and so he was a big time advocate for the women's game. So I think it would have been dope to just see him now advocating, especially where the game is at this point. You see, with the major TV deals, with the increase in pay, with all the notoriety, he had a relationship with Paige Buckers early on, with Sabrina Ionescu, when they were back in high school, when they would go up against some of the teams that he was affiliated with. So it would have been dope, man. And you're right about that. It would have been dope to see Kobe now. What else we got? Yeah, Pooh. Thanks for putting us on to Frank Matthews. I seen someone up top brought it up, but man, I watched videos on him. Yeah, Frank was the man. Frank was the man. Like I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know about it. And keep in mind, they're never going to promote Frank the way they do like Frank Lucas, Nicky Barnes, because
he got away.
Government wants you, but what the government really wants you to think is you're going to go to jail and you're going to have to turn into a rat.
Yeah.
And some of the greatest gangsters in this country did not rat. Some of them actually got away, but they don't ever want to tell you that, because then it would promote a lifestyle that now people are like, all right, well, let me figure out how to get away. You know what I'm saying? It's a fact. Think about it. Look up Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger, who was up in Boston doing his thing, he had guys in the FBI that was on the payroll. And when the walls was closing in, he dipped. He went to California. He was on the run for 30-something years. By the time they caught him, he died in jail like 2 years after they caught him. He was already almost 90 years old.
Crazy.
But again, they're not going to promote that, because then you encourage the lifestyle. You encourage people to go do things and figure out, like, well, if I needed to get up out of Dodge, how did Whitey do it? How did Frank Matthews and them do it? They want you to think.
It's probably going to be a little bit more difficult, so I wouldn't advise doing that this day and age. The way
we're not promoting that.
Set up. But at that
time, we're not promoting that. I don't want to give nobody any ideas. We're not promoting that.
Just say
John Carlos said, is Penny Hardaway in the Naismith? Nah, Penny's not in the Hall.
He had the talent to be in the Hall of Fame, but unless his coaching resume turns into something spectacular, no.
I'd be interested to see if Penny, I know right now he's focused on the college route, but I would be interested to see if he does ever start taking up an interest in being part of the Team USA coaching staff, because he has such great relationships with a lot of these young men. As these young men start to transition over, he could be a great advocate of somebody who, like, hey, I know these guys from the college game and I can help them. And remember, Coach K did it. Before Coach K became the head coach of Team USA, he had worked on the staffs before as well. So Penny might do the same thing. Trip, give me a final thought. Let's wrap up for the night.
We got it's a lot going on right now. Man, I'm just gonna say shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. We've been having a really good couple of. I mean, we always have a good time, but just these last couple of weeks, with the supporters, you guys have been super dope. So salute to you guys. And just make sure y'all keep following us, man. We got a lot cooking. I told you we dropping something, crazy in a couple of weeks. So y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Squeeze, last question. Don't y'all feel that the Naismith always lets players in? Like, how the hell you get in? Players shouldn't get in so easy. I agree. But as we've highlighted many times, your international play can play a factor in that. So if you were part of a couple Olympic teams and gold medals, they're going to factor that in.
Exactly.
If you were someone who transitioned from being a player to a coach, that's going to be factored.
Or broadcaster, right? That could be factored in as well.
You can get in. You can get into the broadcasting wing. So there's a lot of ways in. But I think the biggest issue that most people have is guys get voted in sometimes because it's just a weak class. I remember we had that debate a couple years ago. Remember, like when the highlight of the class was like Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace. No disrespect to them, but like they was the best players on the ballot that year. Yeah. So it made it tough to like really say, nah, they shouldn't get in because somebody still got to get in every year. They're gonna have an inductee no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, Ben Wallace is definitely a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean because you know what it is that we're looking for the popular, you know what I'm saying, players going into the Hall. Like we want to see MJ speech, we want to see Garnett speech, we want to see Shaq speech. You know what I mean? Kobe, guys like that. We want to see them, you know, get their Hall of Fame nods. And those guys, you know, are first ballot. And I think that's when, you know, some of the issues comes in when it's like, well, yeah, this guy may be a Hall of Famer, but first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe not. And when you have those years where you don't have a Wade in the Hall of Fame class, you don't have, you know what I mean, a Isaiah Thomas, a Charles Barkley, and it's just the guys that were really good. Maybe they had 4 or 5 All-Star games, maybe even had a championship ring, but they're not guys that you would look at and say they should be hands down first ballot Hall of Famers. And there's a lot of guys that we do say that about, but every so often we get to one of them years where it's a down year, and you know, like as Eric said, somebody got to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Shout out to the supporters. Shout out to the comment section. It was booming tonight. Definitely make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show as well as Real Fans Real Talk. We're going to be back Monday night. And as I keep teasing, I've already said we're about to ramp things up with the football season. So starting this Sunday, set your reminders, set your alerts. I'm going to give you a live on Sundays. This week, I'm going to drop the time, but that won't be the consistent time because once we get into the NFL season, I'm actually going to be going live after the Sunday night football game. It'll kind of be like a wrap up of the day. So it'll be Sunday nights, Monday nights, Real Fans Real Talk. We're going to do Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. And then traditional Wednesday at 7:30. We're going to go 4 days a week, give you guys more content, more opportunities to engage, answer all these questions. And like I said, we're going to have so much content. I really believe going into this NFL season, it's going to be one of the great NFL seasons. But then also we get the NBA that follows up right there the 3rd week in October. And so we're going to have a lot of opportunity to talk about a lot of things that are going on in the world of sports. So we want to go 4 days a week at that point. Guys, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you keep sending in the comments, the questions. Keep engaging with us, man. We greatly appreciate it. Shout out to my brother, Will Gordon. I know he's on a trip right now. He's traveling. We're going to get him back on next week.
Travels.
Right. Safe travels. Shout out to my brother, Trip Young. Like I said, we got something special cooking up that we're working on for September. And I think you guys are going to really appreciate that as well. But for my brother, Trip Young, I am Eric Sanchez. This was the Sanchez Show on a Wednesday night. And it didn't cost you $140. We out of here.